Well, hey there, and good morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice Program. Our show brought to you by our friends Tanner Health System. It is 8:30 on Friday. Should be a lovely day weather-wise. And stay tuned to News Talk 1330 FM 106.3 today. You'll get your weather forecast. Let you know what you can do and get away with this weekend. Well, that's not good. Hey, we're on Facebook Live this morning as well. And if you're watching on Facebook Live, you saw me just break the microphone. But now we're back on. I'm your host this morning, Colin Worthington, and our guest, as you can see, Carroll County's District 5 Commissioner Lee Powers. And good morning. Appreciate you coming in.
Good morning.
And
glad to be here.
There's a couple of things we want to talk about. One kind of controversial thing that it seems like on Facebook you're taking the brunt of a conversation about. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But you've been in office now for 1 year, one full year, 13, about 13 months at this point. Hadn't been in politics before. I guess talk about that growing process, the education that's gone through this past year.
I tell you what, it's been a great year. A lot of good things happened in Carroll County, and I really enjoyed serving the first year. We've had some challenges with the budget, and we did not raise the millage rate. We did not raise taxes. We got a lot of things accomplished, and I promised that we'd get that fire station started the first year I was in office, and we was able to get it started on Jones Mill Road, and did some other things. Water quality means a lot to me, and I was able to meet with the health board, and we worked out a problem with the septic systems, and I think we've got that corrected from here on out, and I think the water quality will be a lot better in the subdivisions where there's a more density of houses that's going to be built, and so I'm excited. Everything happened. It was a great first year.
And we'll talk more about the septic issue, getting more details about that. I guess over this last year, well, in the coming year, I mean, you're not going to be the rookie anymore. By the end of next year, you're not going to be the newest guy. There'll be at least two people who have less experience than you. Has there been a commissioner or the chairman, who's helped you out a lot, pointed things out? I guess you guys have to go to classes, educational classes and things too.
I have been in classes a lot this year. I have finished with my core classes that you're required to take to be a commissioner, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot that what you can and you cannot do, and the powers that we have, and the things that we can vote on and what we cannot vote on. Mm-hmm. Marty's been very helpful with me this year. Michelle's been very helpful with me this year. All of them, really, all of them. I really miss Trent. I used to call Trent when I had a question because there's so much knowledge there because he was on the board for so long. And if something comes up and you want to know what happened 5 years ago, Trent would help you out, and he'd say, Lee, this is the reason why the county did this and this and this and this. So all of that, I really hate that we lost him off the board, but I still call him when I need something. He answers the phone, so I really appreciate that if you're listening, Trent. But Marty's been his phone, if he don't answer his phone, he always calls me back within an hour or two. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's been a good first year.
Well, as far as talk about the education, and was there anything that was surprising to you, the powers you guys do have or don't have, maybe things that are sketchy? I mean, things that you shouldn't be associated with, or you couldn't be associated with anymore as a commissioner?
Not really. I looked into it before I ran, and but there's certain things that we can do as a board of commissioners, and there's certain things that we can't do, that certain laws that we have to steer away from. And so the school is very, very, very helpful, very helpful.
Lee Powers is the District 5 Commissioner for the County of Carroll. And if you have questions or comments this morning, you can call us at 678-601-8255. That's 678-601-TALK. Or you can post a question to the Facebook page, and I'll try and monitor that and pass that along to Lee. The more and more I talk to you, I realize what an entrepreneur you are. I mean, you're involved in a lot of things, a lot of businesses, and your family is.
Yes. The business that I love the most is my farm. I have a good bit of beef cattle. I love being on our farm. I love working on our farm. I love working cattle and cutting hay and being on tractors. That's where my true love is. But unfortunately, it you have to make money somewhere. So I do have a commercial contracting business, and we do a lot of commercial buildings, doctor's offices and stuff like that. And we do some restaurants. We're doing a couple restaurants right now, one in Buckhead and I think one in Douglasville.
How about you?
We're also doing a couple doctor's offices. I mean, so we're in that, and I stay pretty busy.
And part of the District 5 it's Whitesburg, Rooteville.
Whitesburg, Rooteville, Lowell, Hewlett Community. It actually goes up into Hickory Level a little bit in front of Midway Baptist Church.
Is that more rural than say George Chambers District?
No, I think George may be a little bit more rural than ours, but 90% of my district is rural, and that's what I campaigned on, keeping Carroll County rural, and that's where my heart is, to protect our farmlands, to protect our waters, our waterways in Carroll County, and it's really important to me to protect all that.
And Kevin Jackson, as we mentioned, was commissioner before you, and it kind of makes sense after thinking about it, but something I was surprised when he said is a lot of, some of the roads there still aren't paved. And when the county decides we want road improvements every year, I kind of wondered why they skipped over some of those roads. But I understand a lot of the residents down there don't want their roads paved. There's
a lot of residents that I talked to one the other day, and they said, "Lee, I don't want my road paved." There was a new resident moved on the road. I'm not going to mention the road. Wanted me to pave it, and she couldn't understand why we wouldn't just condemn there's one person that didn't want it paved, and I told her we don't do that in District 5. I mean, it's people have rights, property owners have rights, and if you want your road paved, everybody has to sign the right of way over, and if they don't, I personally am not going to take it just for the sake of paving the road. And if it was a safety issue or something like that, I'd look at something differently, but just to go in and take a piece of property from someone just to pave the road, and they don't want their road paved, I will not do it.
And what's the reason they give you for why they don't want that to happen?
Well, that one person just bought a new little SUV, and she didn't like the dust. And
but as far as the person who doesn't want it paved, what's the reason they're giving?
Because they like the rural setting. I mean, I live on a dirt road, and I promise you, I don't want my dirt road paved. We like it. We've lived there for since 2000. And it's just the rural part of Carroll County that we enjoy, and we like living on it. And so I personally would never sign the right of way on our road.
And I think one of the ideas is that it keeps traffic out too, right? I mean, people are less likely to go down those roads when they're just cruising around or things like that.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
It does keep people out, and but it's just the setting of the rural farmland is what I enjoy.
Lee Powers, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, Carroll County's District 5 Commissioner. We're talking about quality of water, and I think something that you were at the forefront last year that became kind of a big deal and ended up being successful for you. Talk about how that started. Your interest, always had an interest in the quality of water, I'm sure, being a farmer as well, but how this jumped out at you and how you decided it needed to be fixed, and then the board that accepted that and passed that bit of legislation.
Well, I'm in construction, and I noticed that there was a lot of septics failing in different areas of our county. I'm not going to mention on radio what areas they are, but we do have some bad soils in Carroll County, and also up on the other end towards Villarick and Paulding County, there's some bad soils. And when people were wanting to build these houses on smaller lots, and you've got to have a certain amount of space for your septic system, and your septic system is going to fail at some point. I mean, it's not a permanent fix. You're not going to install a septic system and it lasts forever. So at some point, the soils will stop taking the water from the fill lines. So you have to have that room for that replacement area. Well, what I was seeing, a trend, people like nice things, and people would buy a house on a smaller lot, and the mom would want a swimming pool, and Daddy says, well, hey, I want a garage to work on cars and stuff. And so next thing you know, you've got your driveway, your walkway, and all of a sudden you've used all your land for your replacement line of your septic. Well, when the septic goes bad, normally water starts surfacing, and once that sewage starts surfacing, rain starts washing it towards our creeks and rivers. And we got, our animals are very important, and my cows have to have clean water to drink, and they actually still drink out of the spring. And I've got a couple springs on my farm, and I've got a lake on my farm, and we've got to have water. And if we don't protect it and we allow it to get dirty, that's just more money, tax dollars that we have to pay to clean it up so we can consume it. So we have to be on the forefront to protect our water in Carroll County. I mean, it's very important to me to protect our water in Carroll County.
Recommendation you made, and we'll talk about that you made it to the Board of Health. Would you be able to make that recommendation if you weren't Commissioner? Or did you have to be Commissioner to make that recommendation for the Board of Health to?
No, I think anybody could.
Okay.
Matter of fact, since I was a forefront on that, there's been several of my commissioner friends that I've met in these schools that we were attending that asked me, hey, Lee, help us do it. Show us how you did this. Mm-hmm. And because we're having some problems with septic systems failing and sewage running across other people's yards and stuff. So I've been talking to several different counties, the commissioners, and giving them some pointers and stuff. And
the end result is that there used to be a certain qualifier, a minimum size of a lot.
Yes.
And again, you were suggesting that because that's small size, you weren't able to extend on the septic tanks if you needed to. You just run out of land, but requirements have been extended out a little bit to allow for a larger size of septic tank.
And I really am glad that our Board of Health saw the need, mm-hmm. and they really wanted to be in the forefront on this particular issue, and they took the bull by the horns and they passed it. Where now you have to have a half acre of good soils for your septic system, that nothing can be built on it in order for you to be able to have a house there on that lot.
Home builders, I mean, they own all these properties. Say they own 100 acres of land. If they can get 500 houses on there, they'd much rather do that. But the plot expanding in size may only allow them to build 400 houses now. Have they expressed any kind of frustration with that?
There's been a few, but what kind of price tag can you put on quality of life? And every living being has to have water, and we have to protect our waterways. So I mean, the health board, I really do thank them for passing this ordinance. I'm thankful that Carroll County stepped out and was a leader in doing that, and I'm just real proud of Carroll County.
It's about 8:43. We're about 13 minutes into our program this morning. We'll take our first break and come back and talk about this controversial subject. It seems to be more controversial in District 5 than any place else at this point. I haven't seen it being discussed as much anywhere else throughout the county, but we'll talk about that after this first break. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330 and FM 106.3, and this morning on Facebook Live. More after this.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org. or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Welcome back, everybody, to the WLBB Community Voice Program, our show brought to you by Tanner Health System. This morning we are streaming live on Facebook. Of course, we're on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I'm your host, Colin Worthington. Our guest this morning is the District 5 Commissioner here in Carroll County. His name is Lee Powers, just completed his first year on the job, and 3 more to go before Election Day. This is just kind of a catch-up. Look back on his first year. However, there is something controversial going down in District 5 right now. It's Tuesday of next week, Carroll County Commissioners are going to consider allowing residents to vote on a referendum for Sunday sales in Carroll County. It's a lot of other cities, municipalities already have that passed, but this will be a separate thing that allows that if commissioners approve it on Tuesday, it will allow voters to make the decision on whether or not to have Sunday sales in Carroll County. There'll be other questions too, but that's probably the biggest one on there. Now, this is the second time they've brought this forward in 2 years. I believe the end of 2016, before Lee was in office. Commissioners had considered it before, and it was shot down. They decided we're not going to let voters make a decision on this. There's a belief that it could be different this year. One of those reasons is that Kevin Jackson, who was on the board in 2016, he voted against letting voters make that decision. And we can go over his reasons. He's got, I remember talking to him plenty about it, and also he's posted on Facebook here recently his decisions, why he did that. But Lee Powers, who's now the District 5 Commissioner, has come out and said, hey, I will let the voters have this choice, to make the call. We'll put it before the voters, let them make the call. But you've also said that if it does go to vote, you will vote against it. And that's your right as a voter. Give us your reason. I may have summarized exactly how you feel about it.
You did a real good job, Colin. I was asked in a debate when I was running, Lee, will you allow us to vote on Sunday sales? Well, actually, the first question was asked, would you allow Sunday sales to come into the county? And it's very clear that the commissioners, we do not have the power to vote Sunday sales in.
Did they have it at one point, like maybe 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, different?
Colin, I really don't know that answer. But I know right now we do not have the ability to vote Sunday sales in. The state's very clear on that. The voters of Carroll County has to vote it in at the ballot. Mm-hmm. So when that question was asked to me, I told them that we couldn't do that. Well, the next question that came to me, well, would you allow us to vote? And I said, yes, I would allow the voters to vote because that's the right thing to do. I mean, 7 people sitting on a board should not answer for 117,000, 120,000 people in the county. And I really believe that it is a voter's choice. Now, I'm voting no at the ballot box. That's my right as a voter. I don't want Sunday sales. I personally, I am a Christian. I personally I liked it like it was when I was a child, where on Wednesday afternoon, everything kind of closed down, and on Sunday, if you didn't get gas before on Saturday, you may not go to church on Sunday if you needed gas to get, because there was no stores and stuff, because we honored the Lord's Day. And I remember that as a child, and I liked that because it was more family time. People had more time with their families because they stayed at home and stuff and played games and whatever the families did. But, I'm a no at the ballot box, but I do believe that the people needs to make that choice, not me as a district commissioner.
And I, based on 25 conversations that I've had with you over the last year or so, I have no doubt that you're a deeply religious person. And so don't doubt anything that you're saying right now about that. When I think about when Kevin, 2 years ago, he wrote something too long for me to read on the air right now, unless you don't want to talk, I guess, for the rest of the show. But just thinking about one of the things that he spoke out against allowing people to vote is that people in the municipalities will be able to vote for this. People living in the rural county didn't vote for the municipality idea when it was put on ballots for them. But his concern was, everybody in the areas that already have it, they're going to be able to vote for it being in the county, and they don't live in the rural county. So he thinks that'll kind of skew up the votes. How do you feel about that?
Colin, Carrollton, Villarica, Whitesburg, Roopville, Mount Zion, Bowden, Temple, they're all part of Carroll County. They're all Carroll County residents. I understand that some of the cities have voted Sunday sales in, but they're still Carroll County residents. They still pay Carroll County taxes. They still come out into the county. Should they vote? It's their constitution right to vote. I mean, I believe in the people the rights to vote. So I just believe if the Christians will band together and go to the polls, they can vote this thing down. I know that's what I'm going to do.
You had a town hall meeting about 3-4 months ago, and you as much called for that. I mean, you pretty much said that if the Christians will band together, then we can stop this from happening.
And we can.
And it's worth pointing out that you didn't call to bring this forward. I mean, this is something that was brought up 2 years ago, and it was it's going to be brought up again by another commissioner, and we'll talk with that commissioner more about it in the future. It'll be discussed more. But you do seem to be catching a lot of brunt for it, just because you spoke out about it. I mean, you can look on your Facebook page and see some comments there. But how has, I guess, first of all, tell me, you went out before this was announced, it was going to be brought forward again, you went out and talked to the church leaders and said,
absolutely.
Hey.
I told the commissioner that they came to me and asked me, they said, Lee, where are you at on this? And I says, y'all know where I'm at on this. I publicly came out when I was running where I was at on this issue. And I said, the only thing I ask you to do, and I told the commissioner that, is to let me know a month ahead of time. And I was going to go talk to the pastors. I'm very transparent. I was not going to allow this just to pop up on our agenda and us vote on it without me going and talking to the pastors. And I have spoken with most of the pastors. I'm sure I've missed one or two. But I've told them my position on it. I told them why I'm voting yes to allow the people to vote. Yes, I've had some emails, but y'all, this is not my platform. I didn't ask to put it on the agenda. I didn't ask for it to come up. Keeping Carroll County rural is what's dear to my heart. I don't care about Sunday sales or alcohol in the county. That's not my platform. I do believe people have the right to vote. I always believe that, and I think that's the right thing to do. Even, I mean, you and I disagree on some things, but we're still friends. And so I mean, but if you want it and I don't, go vote. I'm gonna go vote. So I mean, it's a matter of the right thing to do is allowing the people to choose on this. Now, if the state had said it was the commissioners' one, if it was our decision and only our decision, I'd be voting no. I would not put Sunday sales in Carroll County. But it's not our decision; it's the people's decision, and they have to make that decision.
Do you expect a large turnout from District 5 at the commission meeting on Tuesday?
Well,
there's a public speaking segment.
Well, from what everybody tells me, I expect a very large turnout Tuesday.
Well, visit the Leap Hours. It's Leap Hours for District 5 Commissioner. Is that the Facebook page?
It is.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
And it is. And I have not dodged anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, there's some pretty blunt statements that have been put on there for you, and it seems like you responded to them. We have about 6 minutes left in the program, so let me take this break here and come back. There's a couple other things I want to talk about, but I think you got your opinion out there about why you're doing it, so I guess people can respond to you how they feel. We'll check Facebook page and see if there were any comments, but we'll take our final break here. Come back with about 5 minutes and try and talk about a couple other things before we end our program. Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, and this morning on Facebook Live. More after this.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
And welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice Program, our show brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330, airing on 106.3 FM, and of course on Facebook Live this morning. We did get a couple comments about the Sunday alcohol sales discussion, so I'd like to throw those out there. Joshua Williams, he did say, let the people vote. I don't know if he lives in District 5 or not, but Cynthia Daly, she's a former attorney for Carroll County government. I think she had left before you'd started, but her comment is, with 62% of the county's population living in unincorporated Carroll County, the suggestion that people living in our cities who have already passed Sunday sales can control this issue is misplaced. Is that not correct? Have already passed can control this issue is misplaced. So it sounds like she's saying that they can't, maybe it's only 62%. Oh, no, there's more people living in the counties, in the county, than there are in the municipalities in Carroll County. So she's saying only 38% actually live in the municipalities. So to suggest that they can actually turn this vote over is incorrect. It's given the power to vote, and if it'll be their decision on whether to vote or not. I mean, they're probably less likely to be interested to go out and vote specifically on this issue than people in the rural part of the county. But I guess the idea is if they go to the ballot and they see it on the ballot and they're like, yeah, Sunday sale, sure, we've already done that.
Yeah, I don't know if they are or not, Colin, but I just think that the people have the right to vote. It's a people's choice to vote. It's I'm not a dictatorship. I'm not going to sit there and tell people what they should do and what they should not do on an issue like this.
I had a couple other topics, but we've got about 2 minutes left in the program, and you tend to give very descriptive details on questions. So last question, we'll wrap this up. Has anybody been anything real offensive to you? I mean, any surprised by any of the comments and the reaction, I guess, on Facebook?
Yeah, there's been a few people that that's made some pretty bold statements about me on Facebook. I wish people knew my heart. I had this one pastor, and this really did break my heart. That he said, Lee, if you pass this thing on Tuesday, after that, if anybody gets killed in a drunk driving accident, if a husband beats his wife because he was drunk, or if the alcohol destroys a family, that's going to be on you. Their blood's going to be on your hands. And I just don't believe that. I mean, people, there's hundreds of thousands of people that drink alcohol every day, and they do it very responsible. And you only hear about the bad things that happens. Just like guns, there's millions of people that tote guns all the time, but you only hear the bad things when somebody goes crazy and starts shooting them. You don't hear all the people that actually tote every day that do it responsible. And there's a lot of people that comes home, they may have a beer, they may have a glass of wine, or whatever they may want to choose in the privacy of their home, and then they go to bed, and is never affected. And if that's what that individual wants to do, it's not my choice to tell them that they can't do it. So let's just vote. This is not my issue. I'm voting no at the ballot box. If the Christians would bind together and go to the box, we can defeat this. And but yeah, there's been some ugly comments, and it really breaks my heart, because if people knew my heart, and a lot of people do, that they know that I have a heart for people, and I have a heart for helping people, and I always will.
Lee Powers, Carroll County District 5 Commissioner, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. If you missed any of it, you can go back and watch it on Facebook later today, or it'll be in podcast form on the newstalk1330.com website. Lee, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you. Anytime.
And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great weekend. So let's see some sunshine today. And I think it's supposed to be cold again on Sunday. So if you need a weather forecast, listen to News Talk 1330 FM 106.3 all day today. Have a great weekend.